welcome back to the Feast or Famine podcast with the Youngs. We are super excited because we have our very first guest ever.
You didn't say we are the Youngs.
We are the Youngs.
We are the Youngs.
Hope so.
They are not the Youngs.
They are not the Youngs, but they're our first guest ever on this podcast, and we're super honored to have them. So,
hence the weird, awkward change
yes,
in the scenery.
Yes.
If you were watching,
added a couple.
If you're
more
listening,
people.
you can hear the change in scenery.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Go ahead and introduce yourself, guys.
Well, thank you, first of all, for having us in studio here with you guys today. So my name is Chris High with High Class DJs. We're a local DJ and entertainment company here in the St. Louis metro area. The service, and sitting next to me, he might look a little bit like me, but this is my young protege and one of our DJs here. This is Dawson.
What up?
Awesome.
My name's Dawson. One of our leading DJs here at High Class DJs, and we're super honored and pumped to be a part of this project.
You guys, they are the best DJs in the Midwest, I would say, in the freaking world.
Midwest. Whoa.
They are so talented. It's stupid.
She's setting the bar real high, guys.
I know. I'm
Midwest.
starting to sweat over here.
Well, they make the party so fun. Like I know that if we're photographing a wedding and they're going to be there, it's going to be super dope.
This is true. So
Yeah.
why are they here?
Yeah. So
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. But we want to kind of like deep dive into just the history of your guys' company, and then talk a little bit about bringing on Dawson as a team member and things like that.
Okay, absolutely. We can definitely do that. So the business originally started with me and one of my good friends that I lived with. Growing up, I hate to kind of date how old I am. But we used to go to parties and festivals. I wouldn't even call them festivals. They were get-togethers.
Yeah, they weren't festivals.
They weren't festivals.
Were you there?
No, definitely not festivals.
In spirit.
But we would have these parties, and they would always have a DJ. And it was something we enjoyed doing. There was 4 of us guys that lived together. And so when living in a small town, people would come over. We were always playing CDs, playing music, and it was just a natural fit for us. So the gentleman that owned the business, he had done it to put his wife through nursing school. She had finished nursing school, and so, of course, being in the industry, you give up your weekends each and every weekend, which is very difficult on a family. So he had got to the point where he was like, I don't want to go out every Saturday anymore. I don't want to do it. And of course we were, 19 and 20-year-old guys where we're looking to go out every Saturday night, right?
Yeah.
We're playing the music. We want to be out there every weekend involved in everything. So it was a natural fit for us to buy his business. So we were able to purchase the business. We ran it together for several years. And then, Scott got into athletics and coaching and schooling and administration. So at that point, he was like, I want to kind of get out of it. It was just kind of a side business for me. And I said, I'll be glad to take it over, bought it out from him, and just kind of had it. And it was just something I did, right? It was something on the weekends. Still worked for UPS full time. So it was just something I had, and so I would roughly do 10, 15 weddings a year. And I was fine with that. I was really fine with that.
It was just you at that point, right?
It was just me. Okay. It was just me. It was really just extra spending cash for my wife.
Yeah.
It still is.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like it still is, but she gets a little bit more cash now, is what she did. But it was just something I did. It was all word of mouth, no advertisement, really just kind of low key is what it was. And then I actually got to the point that I got married. Mm-hmm. Right. So I got married, and that was the one thing my wife told me was, you can't DJ your own wedding. And I'm like, well, I can just bring in one of the buddies and all that. And she knows me, and she knows I would have been up there all night. So she's like, you can't do it. So we hired a local guy here in St. Louis that we'd seen. And I just saw what he did. Right. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. Right. He's doing a lot more than what I'm actually doing. So maybe I can take this to next level. And then really the turning point in the company was, I hate to say it, but was Facebook.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that really was the moment in my career that really changed. And I can really pinpoint it to that was I did a young lady's wedding, and she said, Chris, do you ever put anything on Facebook? And I was so anti-Facebook now. My wife will laugh at me now because I'm addicted to it. And I literally scroll for hours. I'm addicted to it. But at first I was like, if I want to be your friend, I'm going to stay in contact with you, right?
Yeah.
I don't need to see somebody I went to high school with that I seen twice in the hallways in high school and be their friend on Facebook. Like, I'll stay in touch with it. But she's like, you need to put something out on Facebook. Just do it. I'm like, okay. So I did it. And then an inquiry came in. Mm-hmm. And another inquiry came in. And it really started to build from there. Well, the one problem I had was because my core job and what I do is UPS is I didn't know anybody in the industry. You know, I didn't know the Youngs. I didn't know photographers. I didn't know other DJs. I literally knew nobody whatsoever. So I was getting this business that was starting to come in, and I had nothing to do with it. I'm like, who do I give this to, right? Mm-hmm. I'm literally turning away work week after week that I can't do because I'm just by myself.
Which equals turning away money, spending money.
Turn away spending money, right? Turn away spending money, a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And that was kind of the number that my wife finally looked at. She's like, you're turning away 20, 30 events a year.
Yeah.
So I happened to be on Facebook and somebody tagged me in a post, and right underneath my name was a guy by the name of Chris Johnson, who owns CJ's Dish Jockey Service here in St. Louis. And I said, I'm gonna call this guy. Like, I don't know who this guy is. I'm gonna look him up. I'm gonna call him and be like, hey, do you want business? Mm-hmm. And so I called him up and he was like, who are you? You know, because he's well connected in the industry and been around. He's like, who are you? And I'm like, Chris, hi. He's like, okay. And I like, let's meet for lunch. Let's meet for lunch. And from there, the business had went from 15 to 20 to 2021. We're looking 130, 140 events.
Wow.
From that side. So it's just grown year after year.
Yeah.
And it's really turned into a business.
And how many DJs do you guys have on your team?
So we have four that, we have five. We do have a little bit of technicalities we have to deal with. We can only do 4 events a weekend.
Yeah.
Because somebody isn't quite ill enough to drive yet.
It can't be me. I'm not sure.
Not sure who that guy might be. But yeah, so we can do 4 events a weekend.
Yeah.
Is what we can do. But total of 5 DJs on staff, and ultimately, you know, this business will be turned over to Dawson someday.
At least that's what I'm told.
That's what he's told.
So we're still negotiating the buyout.
Oh.
He thinks Dad's going to gift it to him.
So here was our deal. It was either that I could buy him out or I keep him on payroll. So I was like, okay, payroll might be a better option for me. Right?
Yeah.
Because I don't need
that sounds like a win-win.
I know. I don't need to pay him as much as I pay him right now, but I can keep him on payroll.
So.
Do you want him controlling your payroll, though?
Not quite yet. Not quite yet.
Quite ever.
Yeah, so
speaking of having only 4 weddings a year with 5 DJs because of somebody sitting in this room, let's talk about Dawson and how
that happened.
How did he? Because it's not very common to see somebody you're 15 right now, right?
Yep.
If he's currently 15, you've been doing it for how long?
Well, in the business for 5 years, started in 2015, but full blast for the past 2.
Okay.
So you started when you were 10.
about 14.
Yeah.
When you started doing your own DJ.
Well, going with him, setting up, tearing down, just kind of watching. I would help everybody set up, and then I'd stay kind of hidden and play on my phone down on the floor or whatever. And then kind of progress from there. Dad, can I do cocktail hour? Dad, can I do dinner? Can I play a 10-minute, 15-minute dance set up until now that I can control from cocktail to the end of the night, music-wise.
So, Chris, how did that start for you, like bringing him to
so
weddings?
what really started was we're the typical family. You know, my wife, and he has a younger brother as well. So we started with sports. You know, took him to soccer, took him to baseball, things like that. You know, it was the typical things that the dads do, right? Because I was an athlete in school. So he's my firstborn. He's going to be the athlete of the family, right? He's going to be the money maker for the family. I didn't know it was going to be in the direction that he went, but so we did all those things. And it was funny because Dawson was the first person to raise his hand if the coach ever said, hey, we need somebody to sit out, right? Dawson's like, I'll sit out. And me as a dad, I'm like, what? Like, you want to be in the game,
You don't
right?
want to do it?
You don't want to do it? And so Dawson was at that age. He was like talking to the other guys about how he could manage them, how he could make money and all that. So he had that entrepreneurial, you know, kind of spirit from a young age at 6 or 7, right?
Wow.
He's trying to figure out how to make money. So it was very obvious at a young age that he wasn't going to be athletic. He just doesn't have that in him. So part of kind of the dynamics of our family is with me working at UPS, I'm a night person, right? So I go to work at night, I come home late at night, I sleep, for a few hours during the day. When I do sleep is finding time to spend with the boys. It wasn't going to be on the athletic field. It wasn't going to be at games. How could me and Dawson find time to kind of spend together? So he said, hey, can I go with you? And so this is at the age of 10, right?
So he wanted to go.
He wanted to go.
Yeah.
It was kind of him. He's like, hey, I want to go with you to DJ. And as a dad, I'm looking at this as fantastic, right? I don't have to roll cases in by myself. I have
Free labor.
Free labor,
Yeah.
a free help.
Yeah.
To be able to do that. So I started having him come along with me, and he was a typical 10-year-old, like most of them are, and he would come in, he'd help, and then within 15 minutes he was tired.
He's bored.
He's bored. I'm tired, Dad. Can we go? And I'm like, no, we're not going. You're staying here. So he would sit behind me and literally play on his phone for the whole reception, and then he would be ready to go. So that's how it kind of started. And then from there, each little step of the process of a wedding, I would say, as far as, introductions, cocktail music, dinner music, he wanted to get a little bit more interested in. So it kind of started with, hey, Dad, I think it would be cool if you're out on the floor emceeing and I can control play on the entrance song, or I can control this song. And we're like, great, it'll kind of enhance our brand. We can do a little bit more. So it started with that. So it's just been baby steps. But it was very, very obvious to myself, other people in the industry that I know, that he was just passionate about it.
Yeah.
He just had a passion that was hard to control.
Still is.
Still is, to where we have to reel him back in sometimes because he's so passionate about it. But you could just see it grow. And then it came to the point where there was that next big monumental moment, not only in his career, but then for our business, is he had outgrown what I could help develop him as, right? So some of it is I'm Dad. Right. So although we have a great relationship and we work well together, there's still some points that he looks at me and I'm Dad.
Yeah.
And I still look at him as like he's my son, more so than we're partners in the business. So there come a point where everything I could offer him as far as music wise and that stuff he had just outgrown me, what I could help him with. So dear friend in the industry here in St. Louis, Jimmy Hussey, owns a rockin' DJ. Great guy.
He's really good.
Yeah. Phenomenal guy, right? So just Jimmy himself, I would put hands down one of the best DJs in St. Louis. So me and Jimmy being friends, Jimmy and me sat down and talked one day. He's like, I think I could really help him. So we spent an entire summer, Jimmy and Dawson together, just them working, and them two built a great friendship. And even to this day, they're great friends. And I think he talks to Jimmy more than me. Sometimes.
Could very well be true.
Very well be true. But that was kind of the next step.
Okay.
And then from that relationship, that is where we saw the growth. And that's where we saw, like he mentioned, the last 2 years is he went from just being there with me, just doing things, and like now I'm the highlight. I showcase things. I can do things that other people can't.
And so what was that transition like as you're booking clients and you're bringing Dawson to the weddings from at a young age to like now, what has that looked like with like the communication with your clients?
Yeah, that was, very difficult, at first. It wasn't so much the clients that were ever bothered by it. The clients kind of thought it was a neat thing, right? It was more people in the industry.
Okay.
That was really, really the pushback that we got. So a lot of the pushback was, I can't believe you're bringing your kid.
Yeah.
Right? He's 10, he's 11, he's 12 years old. I can't believe you're doing that. Like what businessman brings their kid to a wedding? I think a lot of people looked at it as like, he doesn't have a babysitter. Right? So
Right.
I don't have somebody to watch Dawson.
Almost like unprofessional.
Yeah, unprofessional. Like this guy can't get a babysitter on a Saturday night, so he needs to bring his kid to the event with him. Was really a lot of the gossiping and the stuff that went around. But I never really got that feedback from clients because it was something that was discussed.
Yeah.
It was, he's going to come along with me. He's going to help me. This is what he's going to be doing from that side. So that was a lot of what we got at first.
Did you ever get any pushback from the clients?
Not from the clients. We've only had pushback from one client.
Okay.
So I had one client that, and this was at the point that he was already doing his thing. So he was 14. He was always doing where he could do the whole show, and met with the dad and the bride and groom. And dad literally looked at me and said, I get it. And I think he was only 13 at the time.
Yeah.
He's like, I get it. I get what he can do. I see it, but he's not doing my daughter's wedding.
Wow.
Right? He can come along with you. He can be there, but he's not doing my daughter's wedding.
What was that? Like, were you there when he said that, Dawson? Or did you?
No,
or,
I don't think I
No,
was.
you weren't there when he said it, because I don't think he would have said it.
If he was there.
Had he been there.
Yeah.
But he definitely made it very clear to me that this is how it's going to be. If you want to do my daughter's wedding, this is how it's going to be. And I was okay with that.
Yeah.
I was okay with that. As the relationship built with us and the client, the daughter was like, I know Dad said that, but I want Dawson to kind of do my wedding, you know? So by the time we got to the wedding, the daughter pretty much had said,
Yeah, I ended up doing the show. Yeah.
She's like, it's my wedding, not yours,
and did
Dad.
Dad love it? I'm sure he did, right?
He was on the dance floor most of the night. So
Well, then that's
he was.
success, right?
Yeah, it was. It was
Yeah.
definitely a successful show. And we actually, I went up and I said that, and he said, tell Dawson he did great.
Oh, that's
From that
awesome.
side. So he definitely recognized it.
Yeah.
That what we had done. But yeah, that's really been the only pushback. Now I've had clients that we've approached them and talked to them and tried to sell Dawson, and they said, no way my mom and dad would go for it. So Chris will book you, right? And then ultimately that client ended up booking me, and Dawson was never even there. So
Now,
it wasn't an issue.
do you guys still have that problem even now?
Now we don't have that problem at all.
I was going to say, because from our side of the industry, we get asked for DJ recommendations, and sometimes it's like, hey, we've heard of Dawson High from High Class DJs, not just is High Class DJs good. It's always Dawson from High Class DJs. No offense, Chris.
Yeah.
But we hear like his name a lot. So I was on our side as the vendors, I was wondering if it was the same from like when you guys get inquiries.
It is, and it's got to that point now, where we actually had a client, and it was quite funny. My wife couldn't understand it. Is she changed her wedding date 3 times to make sure she had Dawson.
That's a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she
That's a huge honor.
That's one of the biggest compliments you can get.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so she had got engaged. The very next weekend she saw us, and she came up to me and said, he will be the DJ at my wedding. And I said, absolutely, not a problem, Brooke.
That's awesome.
We'd love to be there. She calls me with the first date. Of course, he's booked. She's like, give me a little bit of time. I'm going to change my date.
Wow.
Goes back, finds a new venue, changes dates. He's booked. So she's
Oh my
like,
goodness.
give me a little bit of time. And at this point, the fiance is like, Chris, I don't know who this 13-year-old kid is. He's your son. I've never heard him. But this is ridiculous. Like, I'm not going to continue to change my wedding date to ultimately have Dawson at the wedding. And so the third final date worked for him. But yeah, he's at that point now where we have brides that call more to book their wedding around him and the date.
And so what is it that you feel sets him apart?
Sets him apart
What is it about Dawson?
What is it about Dawson?
Good question. What is it about me?
What is it about you? I probably say the biggest thing, and I kind of probably skipped right over this, but kind of when he was watching me from afar and just kind of watching of course he was starting to learn stuff, and he stumbled upon it. And I don't know, you can speak of this. I don't know how you ultimately found Jason Janai, which is out of New Jersey. Very well known in the industry across the board. Great DJ. And so that was kind of Dawson's original influence, right? Is because if you look at my skill set and Dawson's skill set, they're nowhere close.
Really?
No, I'm not even.
No.
No.
He's honest.
Yeah, to be honest.
I think you guys are both great.
In different ways.
It's a little different.
Ways.
Yeah.
That's what makes us good together as a team.
Yeah.
Is because I'm a people's person. I'm a talker. I can work a room and all that. And Dawson's music do that. But if you just said, let's go music to music, I used to try and do it. You can probably dig through Facebook, and you can see live videos of us like mixing against each other.
Yep.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, to the point now where if he asked me to do it, I don't. I don't, because we're on different levels.
Right.
So he used to come in my room and said, "Hey, you want to have a mix-up?" Sure, let's do it. So I said, "You can start. I'll let you start." So we'd put up the phone and we'd start Facebook. I'd let him start. We'd get a following. We do about 5 to 10 minute sets each. We did one that he started and then I came on and he said, "I'm done. You win." Yep, it's over.
Yeah.
One set.
He let you start so people would actually get there first.
Yeah.
Get there first and all that. And, it's funny. I kind of look at, I equate it to sports with my dad as like, when was that age that I could beat my dad at basketball or could run faster than my dad or beat him at soccer, right? That's how he is. He's at that age now and it was really at the age of his late 13, going into 14, that he was much better than me as far as that. To where the point of here in 2021, he already kind of has a schedule set up because he wants to teach me some things that he
really
does.
cool.
So to take that, he's gifted, right? Mm-hmm. We often have talks amongst us and all that where I'll be trying to pick his brain about that, and he's like, "Dad, I just can't explain it. Like, I wish I could put it into words, what I'm thinking and what I'm doing and how I'm going about things, but it just comes natural to me."
Wow.
He's like, "It just comes." And I'm like, "Wow, why'd you go that direction? Why'd you go this direction?" He's like,
I don't know.
I felt like I
Just
went
went
that
with
direction.
it. So Dawson, when you started going, from the first time you said, "Hey, can I go to that wedding with you?"
Yep.
When can you remember when the moment was that you were like, "I want to do this, and I want to figure out how I can do this"?
I know exactly the event that I was at. It was November of 2017.
And how old are you then? You would have been.
I would have been 12.
12.
It was actually right down the street here at Old Stone Chapel. That I was like, I stood up and I'm like, "Dad, can I try?" "Sure." So there's actually probably a Facebook Live video around it that was my first ever live performance. Now, granted, he was standing over my shoulder, click this button, do that. But after that night, I was like, we're going to do this because this is something that I want to do and we're going to make it happen.
And I assume before that you had already like kind of dabbled and kind of learned a little bit how to actually mix and do all that. So
Yes.
It was that event you're just like, this is it.
Let me try. Yep. So I had watched him for months on end, doing it week in and week out. I knew where all the buttons are. I knew what the buttons did. It was just a matter of me getting on and trying was what set it off.
That's awesome. At 13? 12.
12
years old.
Yep.
12 years old, you found a passion and you said, "I'm going to do this." And now you're doing it, and quite successfully, I might add.
Thank you.
Do you see this being something that you want to do forever, for the rest of your life? Like, is this your career?
Yes. As long as AI and computers don't take it over, then yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this so prior to this, did you have any other goals or anything that you wanted to be or anything you wanted to do with your career? That you thought, because, like I grew up, I was like, I want to be a veterinarian.
Yeah, so it was from a police officer to maybe just the staple stuff.
Yeah.
And then once I got into the wedding industry, I was like, I get paid to have fun, right?
Same.
I know.
Dude, we
I
talk about
literally
it all the time.
All the time.
I literally get to go to people's once in a lifetime celebrations and make it perfect.
Yeah.
And I get paid to
That's
do
beautiful.
so. So
Yeah.
this is what we're gonna do.
That's awesome.
So I asked that because I think the main topic of this, and what a lot of people struggle with that want to do something, is that they never actually do it and they never actually start.
Yep.
And you're living proof that it doesn't matter how old you are, you started. And you started as soon as you realized that you were passionate about it, and you're still passionate about it.
Yep.
I mean, there are times people can start something and they lose that passion. They're like, okay, time to switch. At least you started and figured that out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really been the thing, is the passion for it, right? So, we kind of talked about the pushback that I got He actually did an event, did a wedding, and one of them people that kind of had that pushback saw him at that wedding and sent me a message and says, I can see the passion that he has.
Yeah.
You know, I see why you guys allow him to come. My first thought was, as a mother, is you're taking away his childhood. You're not letting him be a kid. He's out here working. And when she saw him at that event, she's like, I see why he's out here.
Yeah.
He's passionate about it. This is his passion, you know.
And you never felt that way, did you, Dawson? Like your child, did you ever feel like?
Me personally, no. I get people that tell me that I need to take a Saturday night off and go to a Saturday night football game at high school. But me, even put it in our school dances. So when I came into high school, we approached the school as, hey, I want to be the DJ for this.
Yeah.
And Dad and I had a lengthy conversation about, are you going to miss not being a part of those experiences on the front side of the DJ booth? And friends ask me all the time, and I was like, I don't have as much fun unless I can control what happens.
I can relate to that 100,000%. I'm a musician.
Yep.
And I've been in music, 20 years. And I've been doing it for money for probably another 10, 11. And I say the same thing. We go to concerts and stuff or whatever, and she's like, do you want to dance? Can you dance? I don't dance. I don't get on the dance floor. Why do I not get on the dance floor? Because I want to be on the stage providing the music.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I have more fun doing that.
Yep.
I have more fun being on the stage and kind of creating the environment than enjoying the environment.
So I went to my freshman year homecoming, and my friends were like, hey, you want to go dance? I said, no. I literally sat next to the stage where the DJ was and watched him all night long. Literally. I didn't dance. I didn't touch the dance floor, but I was like, I'd rather be where he is to make sure all these people on the dance floor have fun, because that is enjoyable to me.
Would you say you did that because you want to be where he is? You want to take all the notes you can to get to where he's at? Is that kind of...
Do you do your school dances now?
I did one, and I'm booked on every other single one. So they got one school dance out of me.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with high schools is they don't book far enough in advance.
Yeah.
So I'm already booking October 2nd of 2022 in 2020. High school might not contact me till May of 2022 to book that October.
Wow. Okay.
And COVID might happen and cancel prom.
True.
Cancel prom.
That's what happened. So we had prom on first weekend of May in 2020, and it got canceled. But I did winter formal in February of this past year.
And did you like it?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
And I brought in all the bells and whistles I could.
And like, how did your peers, like, what was that experience for you? Like being around people your age rather than being around like a wedding party?
So I was nervous. I usually performing in front of people I'm not really nervous about, but having those people that I will see on Monday morning made me nervous. Was if I screwed up, it was very well that could be talked about weeks in advance. And we actually, we lost power on the event.
Oh, wow.
Which Dad could tell you put me into a frenzy because I wasn't more worried about getting power back up. I was more worried about what the conversations were going to be on Monday morning.
Yeah.
And I ran it from that DJ booth to go figure out where my power was, how to flip back on in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I was like gone.
Yeah, I was like, slow down.
Yep.
Slow down. We're okay.
Yeah.
We blew the main breaker they thought was the best one. We got to split this out. We're going to be okay.
We'll make this work.
Yeah.
But even as parents, you know, that was something we were very concerned about is it started in middle school. The middle school would actually let him come in once a month and DJ their lunch period.
Oh my gosh,
during,
that's so cool.
During middle school.
Yeah.
So he would
it was
play
a
for
pain
them.
to prep for it, but yes.
Yeah, so he would do that. So as parents, we were like, is this a good thing, right? Because we know how schools can be, and in high school, it's a very tough time for kids just fitting in and not getting picked on and all that. And here's somebody that's very successful, right, at a very young age. National magazines, you know, writing about him. I mean, he has his own brand, his own logo, just very, very been blessed with a lot of things. And so we were concerned with even doing a high school dance, what that pushback was going to be. With COVID, canceling everything, we've kind of went to him and we've changed his business model a little bit, where we originally had those dates blacked out for him. To where you couldn't get them in 2022, the first week in October. 2023, we'd blocked those out. But with just his demand, we've had to open them back up. We opened back up where he's made the decision, yeah, it might be my junior prom, but I'm going to do a wedding because that's just what I love to do.
Yeah.
Would you say that the challenges with the pushback and people just like even in the industry, like kind of gossiping about, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're bringing your kid. Do you think having to overcome all of that helped ultimately to create more success?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was definitely a driving factor for him because I told him about it. I talked to him about it, and this is what we might see, and I think it does play into it.
Yeah.
It played into it to where he's like, I'm going to prove people wrong.
Yep.
You're right. I'm going to show people that even though my birth certificate says 15, I'm much older than that. And that's the thing we do. We have fun with it.
Yeah.
Nobody ever guesses that he's 15. Nobody ever. Most from our 20, 21, 22.
Highest I've got is 27.
Wow.
27?
I know.
You're
Yeah.
like, I'm offended.
Yeah. I was like, I don't look that old.
So I guessed 18, I think.
18?
Well, I think that was like
Yeah.
one of the questions that I asked you when I first met you was like, what is it like being at a wedding with all of these older people? Do they think you're younger? Do they think they're older? What is it like for you?
Well, so my style of music and the music that I listen to isn't today's music.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about the 90s and the early 2000s and the 80s, that I can connect with those older guests at that wedding on a music standpoint, that I can go back to when they were my age and play those top hits of 1991 or 1992. And that is what sets me apart, is I can, even though I might be 10, 20 years younger, I can act like I was there in 1991 and listen to all those top dance tracks.
Yeah.
But then you can also play the current hits because you're also in
Living
the
in the
prime of
moment,
your,
yeah.
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 That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, we actually just had a young lady at a wedding a couple of weekends ago. She was out of Kansas City, and she came up to us. She said, when I get engaged and married, he is going to be the DJ at my wedding. I'm like, right on, that's awesome and everything. She's like, he just kept us off track. It was wow. And I said, well, how old do you think he is? And she's like, 21, 22. And I said, no, he's only 15. And she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, I thought he was so hot.
I bet you get that a lot.
She's
Does that happen a lot, Dawson?
Not that I know of. Not that I hear about it.
Okay.
That's where he still shows his age.
Yeah.
Shows his age. So
Because you're there doing your job. You're not focused on
No.
Unless I'm doing
picking up girls.
unless I'm doing a high school event. That's the only reason I do high school
I would
events.
say that shows his passion too.
Yeah.
Because he's so invested in
He's
what he's doing and
focused
creating
on
the
what he's
party that
doing.
it really doesn't matter
Right.
to him.
Yeah, we had a bridesmaid at a wedding, back in November that she had the look. Right? She had the
I had a
look.
bridesmaid
And I'm sure,
around
like, you
January
can-
that
I see it. You and Alex would see it. You'd
Yeah.
be like, she's into him.
Yeah.
She's hitting on him. All that. He didn't pick it up at all. He's
Yeah.
there to entertain and passion and all that. He doesn't see that this girl is sitting there with googly eyes, looking at him, just staring at
when
him.
you're there and you see something like that happen, does like dad mode happen and you're like, Dawson, this is kind of what this is how you need to handle
really,
this, or
really the only thing that is dad mode is guys, right? Guys can tend to get drunk.
yeah.
Girls are just going to be upset if you don't play their song, right?
Yeah.
I can,
Guys get pissed.
I can deal with Veronica's
Yeah.
at my weddings.
Yeah. Deal with the girls. The guys get pissed. So it's the guys
Wow.
that I really need to focus on and pay attention. I let him try and handle the most of it until I see that I need to step in. And at that point, I'll step in and be like, hey, guys, what can I help you with? What can I do? Well, he's not playing our song, or, his style is to mix music.
Move very, very quickly.
Move very
Right.
quick. And they're like, why didn't you play the whole song of YMCA? Or I wanted all 4.5 minutes of Sweet Home Alabama. And I'm like, well, that's not who he is. So
Yeah.
I'll tend to handle the guys and all that stuff
Yeah.
from that. But for the most part, I let him kind of do his thing and handle everybody. he wants to handle it. And that's part of his maturation process in it is each event is a little bit more. There's a little bit more, there's a little bit more that he's talking to the clients, he's dealing with things. Teaching them that there's more than just the party. More than just the party
Very
with
cool.
it.
You know, I think it was last episode or 2 episodes ago, we talked about the fact that I actually used to be a DJ for weddings, and I actually was in the wedding industry long before we started our business.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I did not like it. And that right there was one of the biggest reasons I didn't like it. Was just the people would ask for these weird abstract songs that would literally clear the dance floor, and you don't play it, and then they get pissed.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to deal with that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things you have to deal with it, you know. And we're still, you know, we still talk about it, you know, me and his mom is where are we going to be in 6 years, 5 years, you know, because he's super busy, although he's had girlfriends and all that stuff. It's not like he has a steady girlfriend every single week and they want him to go to the movies and everything like that.
Wow.
Well, I mean, when I talk about dad,
Did you pick up on that too? Okay.
yeah, I mean, he's had girlfriends, but it's not like every single weekend at people at this young age. This is kind of where you start to get into the girlfriends, and I haven't got Dad. I'm going on a date instead of working.
Yeah.
Right? I haven't
Probably
got to
won't
that.
ever happen.
I was going to say,
Really?
would you, if the right girl like seemed interested, would you like take a
Have
weekend?
to be on a Friday or a Sunday.
Or she's coming with you to DJ.
or she's coming to the wedding. Do you want a wedding date?
So Dad's
Right.
actually asked about that. I want to keep my personal and my business life separate.
That doesn't work for us.
True, but different demographic. But I've seen DJs that bring their wives and their fiancés along and their girlfriends. I'm just never a fan of that.
Yeah. Mostly because they're not actually part of the business. Like for
Exactly.
us, obviously this won't work for us because we're literally both.
The
Yeah.
business.
We're the business.
Yeah.
Yep. But
Yeah.
like Dad bringing Mom to a wedding, probably would. Dad and I would have a talk on Monday.
Dad, you're going to be fired.
Yeah.
You're getting written up.
Yeah. But as far as is making sure giving up a wedding to do going back to the football game. So
Like an extracurricular is not a priority.
Exactly. So I got offered to go to a football game on a Friday night that I was booked. And I had to make the decision was, do I want to go hang out with my friends or do I want to do a wedding I chose to do a wedding.
Yeah.
But you were already booked. So
Exactly.
I mean, technically, contractually, you had to be
Well,
there.
so Dad was the DJ.
Okay.
So I could have got out of it if
Okay.
I wanted to. But I definitely going out of Friday night into Saturday morning, I knew I had more fun at the wedding than I would have at the football game.
Yeah. And so that's just kind of where your priorities are, like
Yep.
at the moment.
Yep.
Work.
Dawson, do you know what your Enneagram is?
No,
You don't know anything about it.
I would bet you're a 3.
I think he is a 3.
that's too big
I'm
of a
a
word
3.
for me.
I'm a 3.
We're gonna have you. You're gonna go do a test at some point.
Okay.
Then you're gonna let me know because I think you're a 3.
Okay.
We'll have him do the test after, and then we'll put it in the description of
Yeah,
what Enneagram
okay.
is. So comment below what you think Dawson's Enneagram is. Christy, know yours?
No.
No? Okay.
Yeah, that's extending my vocabulary there.
Explain to me
It's
what
a
I have in
personality test.
Personality test?
Pretty
Oh.
much. Yeah.
And
so
3 is a workaholic.
A 3 is a workaholic.
I'm 100% a 3.
So am I.
So it's like,
Do you
I'm
guys
a-
butt heads sometimes?
I'm a
Yes.
3.
That's
Yeah, I mean, we do butt heads every once in a while.
Yeah.
From that side, there's, you know, when we're together, it's, am I dad or am I his coworker, his boss, whatever. I don't like the word boss. You know, we all do what we do, so I'm not necessarily his boss. But there's times we have an epic one that we talk about, that we tell stories about. We're at a great
gotta come
wedding
up with a
down
new one.
in Jeff City. And it's just one of those weddings that you just live for, right?
Off the chain.
Off the chain. Mom and dad are out on the dance floor. Cousins, aunts, uncles. They're
Dancing to
dancing to
Snoop
Snoop Dogg.
Nice.
Yeah, mom doesn't know she's dancing to Snoop Dogg.
Grandma
Right?
didn't know she was
Yeah, grandma
dancing to
doesn't know
Snoop
she's-
Dogg.
They're just dancing. They're just really having a good time.
Yeah.
So me as an MC is like, how are we going to set this people up to have that ending of the night that they're just going to walk out of this facility and they're going to be talking about this ending of the night. So it's about 10 minutes to go and I go up to Dawson, I'm like, hey, how are you going to end this thing? And he looked at me and said, I don't know.
No clue.
No clue. It was kind of with a sarcastic tone to it. And I'm like, okay, well, then you're going to figure out how to do this. I might have said a few cuss words under my breath, called him a few names, but I'm like, here's the microphone. You MC this, and you make sure this couples has the ending they deserve. So I step back, and I'm behind him, and he's doing his music, and I can see him kind of start to peek underneath his arm to look and say, when's he going to come up here? When's he going to come up here? When's he going to get this microphone? Because he's definitely not talking, right?
In front of her, no, 300 people, not going to happen.
He wasn't going to happen. So I eventually got up there. We give him the ending, and that's when we had the discussion on the way home. Is like, hey, we can't do that, right? I, as an MC, need to know how I'm going to set things up. Mm-hmm. You, as a DJ, need to know how we're going to end things up. And that's when he told me, he's like, Dad, my brain doesn't work that way, right?
In 10 minutes, I can play 10 songs. I have no idea in 10 minutes what I'm going to end at 11 o'clock. So because my brain's like, okay, I'm going to play on a song, okay, typing in the next one, because I can see it. I can't see 10 minutes from now what's going to happen, what songs I'm going to play.
That's so interesting. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, so when he gets to doing his thing, is although he has, crates and folders with songs on it, there's nothing that's pre-played or prepared or in an order and all that stuff. It's just a feel.
Yeah.
It's a feel of how the room's going, what he feels and all that. And that's really where he's made his name in the business, is it's not very predictable. So he said, I don't know 10 minutes, so don't ask me, right? And I learned. I'm like, so now I don't ask him 10 minutes beforehand. I'm like, I adjusted what I do to him.
Yeah.
Whatever energy he's going, whatever ending he's going to do, I then change how I ultimately give my final kind of wrap up of the night and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think that about basically how you can't really tell him what you're going to do in 10 minutes because you don't even know yet.
Yep.
I think that right there sets a lot of DJs apart in the industry from being super successful and not being super successful, is because you're creating it. It is an art, but you're embracing that it is an art.
Yep.
You don't know what you're going to do. I don't know I'm going to shoot every wedding. If and then something happens, I'm gonna film it.
It's a flow in the feel of the room.
You go with the day.
Yeah.
To tell the story of the day. I don't know what the day is going to be 2 days before the wedding.
Yep.
I have an idea of what's going to happen, but I don't know what the story is going to be.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's that's where he's kind of made his mark in the industry. And the other thing is really just his style, right? So you guys, would you say majority of your business is in St. Louis Metro? Or
Most of it.
Most of it,
okay.
Yeah.
So there's a certain regional style to weddings here in this area. But him being influenced from the East Coast, the Jersey Shore, the fist pumping, the more the redrum, the remixes, the EDM music that's very popular on the East Coast.
Yeah.
He's brought that style here. And that was a conversation I had with him. Mm-hmm. I'm like, Dawson, we're not the East Coast, bud. We're not New Jersey. We're not New York City.
But it works.
It does work.
It works. And that was something that he was really passionate about.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to accept it because I had the high-class DJ brand here in St. Louis.
Right. I would do it if he wasn't the MC. So that's how it started. Was I watched Jason do a live video, and I was like, I want to do this. Because the amount of energy that at the current time that I was getting from the songs that I was playing and the amount of energy he was getting from the same songs that I was playing, just a little bit different, was insane. Mm-hmm. So I would work events with our other DJs and our other MCs, and I would sprinkle it in a little bit. And I would tell my MCs, I said, what I just did here tonight is Dad doesn't like, so don't tell him.
Don't tell Dad.
Yeah,
Don't tell Dad, right?
Don't tell Dad. So, and then we were at a wedding in July, and I was like, Dad, I'm going to do this because I can read this crowd that this is what they want. And that was the clicking moment for me, was this can work in my market. Mm-hmm. And this also gives me a niche in my market because I'm the only one doing it in St. Louis.
That's what I was actually going to talk about that next is, do you think the power of social media being now is what helped you be able to develop that niche because it's more readily available to everybody already anyway?
Yeah, I think that played a big part in it, but really the biggest part is you guys, right here, vendors, right? And this is the kind of talking whenever I talk to clients is what did your vendors say, right? Mm-hmm. I said, so Alex and Veronica, they're out there, 30, 40, 50 times a year. They see DJs, right? They don't see us at every event. Mm-hmm. I wish they did, because that would be awesome.
Same.
I wish I worked 50 events with them, but I don't.
Yeah.
But they see different DJs every single weekend. And when they say, call these people, there's a reason why.
Yep.
Because we're doing it different. We're doing it on a higher level than what other companies did. And so that's where really his momentum started, because other vendors saw his style.
Yeah.
This isn't what we see at 10 weddings that we go to in St. Louis. This is unique to us.
I'm glad you brought that up, because for us, a DJ, obviously for your client, the DJ provides the party. They set the tone for the room and everything like that, which is very important. But for us, it's so much more than that. Alex needs good audio for speeches. Like we need to be in communication with you guys, so you guys don't start something and we're not there if we're eating, or, there's a lot of communication that goes into the photo, video, and the DJs that I think a lot of people don't recognize.
Yeah.
And that's just something that I really appreciate about you guys, is you are always communicating with us throughout the night, when we're going to do things, how the night's going to flow. And then you're just really good at your job. And I know it's going to be a good night for us, because we're going to be taken care of as far as the things that we need. But then also, like, we know it's going to be a good party. We know we're going to get good footage. We know we're going to get good photos, because they're going to be happy with what they're hearing.
Yeah.
And they're going to be on the dance floor. And it's not like that at every wedding. Sometimes you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I think a lot of people don't really grasp when they think about the DJ. They think party music, that's it.
Yep.
But it's so much more than that. It's the entire audio experience. I mean, from sometimes a ceremony to speeches, and even aside from me being the videographer wanting to capture good audio, bad audio can make or break a day. Like if speeches have feedback, which I personally believe is a super basic issue.
You
But,
gotta.
that's a topic for a different day. But small things that we've run into several times that just make the day. It seems unprofessional when it happens, and it also affects audio for the video
And the overall experience.
and the overall experience in general.
Yeah.
And I think
Exactly.
that's what a lot of people don't really realize when it comes to hiring a DJ.
So the way I look at it is, we're all have the same vision and the same expectations, right?
Yeah.
We want to make sure the client is the happiest possible, and we want to make sure we do our best work. So we're all in the event together. So me not giving Alex audio or not making sure Veronica gets good photos, that's not helping anybody.
Right.
Right.
So to be communicating and make sure everybody is on the same page, not only makes everything go smoother, but then
The worst thing, which has probably
referrals.
happened to me on a handful of times. Sometimes there's been a couple times where Alex wasn't there, is we're all eating our meal in our vendor room. Okay, next up, we're going to have the maid of honor. And I'm sprinting.
Yep.
I'm like, oh my gosh, why would they do that?
And video's it's such a deep, like, I gotta make sure audio is rolling, gotta make sure people are mic'd with a secondary source, I gotta make sure all my cameras are set up, gotta make sure the lights are
lighting's
on if
good.
I have them. Those experiences make my heart sink.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And it's not because I want to make sure I get it, it's because I want to make sure the couple has that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And if the
Definitely.
DJ does that, I don't have that.
correct.
Because then they're going to come back to you and say, hey, why didn't we get our
Yep.
maid of honor speech?
Yep.
Yeah, it's external and internal customers. That's what we kind of talk about in business. The bride is our external customer. You guys are our internal customers.
That's a good way to put it.
So it's just important to us to take care of you guys as it is the bride itself, because the overall experience of the day, and that's something that we do. Is we want to reach out to our vendors right away. Who are we working with?
Yeah.
Because it's uncomfortable if you guys are busy, I'm busy, we got going things on, and we're meeting for the very first time,
Yeah.
literally at the wedding, right? And you're like, hey,
Yeah.
Well, that's not how it is. So it's building those relationships and taking care of your internal customers, as much as you take care of the external as well.
And that,
Yeah, I
yeah,
love
it's,
that.
I mean, on a wedding day, yeah, there may be a dozen different companies involved in the day, but at the end of the day, we're all one team making one big event happen. So
Yep.
we all need to be on the same page.
We all have the same objective.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's there to take care of them,
Yeah.
There's nothing unique that I do that somebody else can't do.
So
Right.
Dawson, are there any last thoughts that you can maybe interject as far as, if somebody like is nervous about starting something or hasn't really taken the steps to do it,
Any
you're living
advice?
proof that the sooner you do it, the sooner you'll get your outcome.
I would just say go for it. There's really not much that can go wrong besides, hey, this isn't really something I'm passionate about. Once I've done it and once I've got actually into the door, then you just turn right back around and walk out the door. You'll be in that doorstep forever trying to get in if you don't actually make the motions to do so. So that's all I got.
You can't move if you don't take a step.
Yep.
Yeah, you have to go for it. And the great thing about it is being so young. I mean, he's young, right?
Yeah.
He's young. So, I mean, it could be 5-6 years, and this is what we've talked about. He could be doing something different, right? Doing something different, but it's just been something that he's passionate about. And as parents, we want to give him that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, here's the opportunity, take it, and if you don't want to do it, you don't necessarily have to.
Yeah.
But at least take that step and move forward. He was very fortunate that I already had the business. It was something he looked into. The initial starts, and you guys will laugh about this, was I can probably sell you some video gear, because that was our initial kind of come with me. I'm looking at it from a business perspective.
He wants video footage.
Yeah.
He's just going to sit behind me, right? That's not doing me any good.
Right.
So you're going to film
You're
me
gonna
now.
film me do my
You're
job.
going to video. So I
Yeah.
got some monopod things. I got like 3 or 4 tripods, to be able to shoot video
Yeah.
for me, right?
That's awesome.
So literally I would be DJing, and you guys will catch him next time you work with us. Catch him because he likes to watch. He likes to watch what the other vendors are doing. So if Veronica is over there like getting ready to shoot a photo,
There's been moments that I'm not even paying attention to what I need, and I'll just watch Veronica take photos.
I like to watch her too.
So me as a DJ, I'm like, hey, what do we got going on here?
Yeah.
And Dawson will be like looking at what the photographer's doing or the videographer. So that was my initial thought was he's going to shoot video for me.
Yeah.
And there would be like a moment happening that I saw, and I'm like, we need to be videotaped. And he's like looking over here like this, and I'm like, Dawson, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Oh, that's so funny.
So yeah, so just getting started and getting out there and doing it and finding somebody that can help you and be a mentor. And that's where I'm so blessed. As people ask me a lot of times, they're like, Chris isn't awesome. And I said, I'm his father. I provided the DNA. I give him a roof over his house where he lives, but I have so many mentors in the business that have helped him along the way.
Yeah.
That I'm really blessed.
That's awesome.
That doing in his life, because he wouldn't be where he is today without those.
Exactly.
Without
So
those.
I was actually at a conference, and I had played the first night, and I was like the talk of the conference. And one of my mentors got stopped and was like, "Hey, are you Dawson's dad?" And he's like, "Dawson only has one father, but many dads."
Yep.
And I was like, "It's a good way to put it."
That's really sweet.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's awesome.
So to wrap things up, I think it's important to remember most of the people that don't reach their goals, I would argue the biggest reason they don't reach them is because they never take that first step to get there.
They
Or
never
fear.
acted on them.
And they never acted on it.
Yeah.
So you can't get there if you don't do it.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
with that, it's also never too early to start figuring that out, because the longer you wait, you get to be.
Were you ever fearful, like nervous, or like fear of failure, or fear of anything, just starting?
Well, no, because at the point that I was so young that I was like, okay, if this doesn't work, I still have 5 more years to figure
Yeah.
out
So much
something else.
life left to
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yep.
Yeah, and really, although he's a young age, we think about it, and I mean, I'm 48, still feel young, right?
You're 47.
Huh?
You're 47.
Okay,
Okay.
48, but that's okay. I still love you. I still love you.
I would
Dad's
take
gonna-
the 47.
I'll take it, but I am 48. But I still feel young. So even somebody at my age is to take this next step, and that's really where it's been the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Is building the business to ultimately where Dawson will take it over here in a couple
Yeah.
of years. Is it something that I want to do? Working full time, with UPS as well as this is now grown to full time. Is do I want to continue to do that? Well, I'm going to take that leap and continue to push it forward, and ultimately at that age. So I would say at any age,
That's awesome.
is we got plenty of years ahead of us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very
Just
cool.
make it happen.
Yep.
So Dawson, where can people find you? Chris, where can people find you?
So on social media, anything other than Instagram is I am Dawson High. And then on Instagram it's Dawson.high. As far as the business, everywhere is High Class DJs. On internet, Facebook, Instagram, the whole 9 yards, High Class DJs.
Go give them
Awesome.
follows, likes, watch their stuff. I think Dawson goes live on Facebook occasionally, so that's something to definitely do. You're still doing Twitch?
I
Occasionally.
downloaded Twitch
Okay.
just for you.
Occasionally he's on
Twitch.
Twitch.
I will
Occasionally.
say, I don't get on Twitch. I downloaded it just to watch your lives.
There we
so,
There you
That's
go.
awesome.
I got
Feel
to build
honored.
a permanent studio to do Twitch because it's a lot of work,
Yeah.
right? This was a lot of work to set up.
yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah, we set and tear this down every time we do this.
yeah. Yeah.
That's the hard part.
Yeah. So
We make
once I
this a
find
green screen, right?
Yeah.
We put a green screen there.
We could totally do it.
And we paint it and start shooting this way.
Yep.
We'll have a permanent studio.
There
But
we
thank
go.
you guys for having us.
No problem. Thanks
This
for
was
coming on.
awesome.
Thank you
Absolutely.
guys. This
Everybody
was
go
super
give them a
fun.
follow, a like, follow us if you don't already. Subscribe to the YouTube channel.
For
Share
sure.
it if you like it. Give us some comments. All the things.
Yep.
We'll take it off.
There we go.
Love feedback.
We will see you next time.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys.
Bye, guys.
That's a wrap.
Peace.